Before they were married, Green Lantern Katma Tui was a training instructor for Green Lantern John Stewart, and she taught him the most important rule about following orders in the Green Lantern Corps. This story takes place in the Green Lantern Huckleberry Hound special, which sounds crazy, I know, but it's an essential story for both of these two Green Lanterns. Katma takes John to a planet for a training exercise where he has to fight this yellow insect. Keep in mind, the power ring doesn't work against the color yellow, so John's kind of fucked, and Katma Tui reminds him of so by letting him know, hey, just so you remember, you can't kill it, but it can kill you. Just thought you'd like to know. John uses his ring to create some flowers to distract the space bee, and Katma says, oh, you passed. I mean, I knew you were gonna, I didn't think you were gonna pass. I'm surprised you did. While John Stewart's catching his breath, Katma Tui tells him, you learned an important lesson today. It's not about you. Sometimes people will attack you just to attack you. Matter of fact, most times they attack is because they're searching for something they lack in themselves. And don't always look to your power ring for help, because most things in this universe, that power ring can't protect you from. That shit ain't always gonna save you. A Green Lantern has to use the power of the ring only when it's the right power for the right job. Which brings us to your next challenge. You gotta go back home and not use your power ring. Keep in mind, it's 1972, Nixon is president, and John Stewart is a black man living in Detroit. Racial tension was high, to say the least. And keep in mind, when the Guardians were looking for a replacement for Hal Jordan, this is the type of energy they found John Stewart on. This is pre-military retcon. He was confronting cops harassing people outside of a barbershop playing chess. That man told an officer, I don't want trouble, but I ain't gonna run from it, and I doubt you're the man to give it to me, even with that nightstick. What? Hal Jordan saw that and said, this is the guy you want? And the Guardian's like, yeah, that's who we fucking with. He's like, that guy clearly has a rock the size of Gibraltar on his shoulder. The Guardians are like, and? So now here he is years later going through training under Katma Tui back home, and he's got the power to do something, but he's told not to. Now this is post-retcon of him being in the military. He's hanging out with some friends in a veteran center. He leaves to go see Huckleberry Hound, a comedian he's loved since he was a kid, perform. Afterwards, he's getting a drink with Huckleberry Hound, watching the news and them talking about the Vietnam War and Nixon. And when Huckleberry sees that he has a Green Lantern power ring, he's asking him, well, you can stop all this, so why aren't you? And we then see John reflect to a tale Katma told him about Sinestro and how he got this one section in order by going there and instilling his will. The area he was sent to was wild, but Sinestro got them to calm down through fear of his power. Everybody settled down, but then Sinestro was called away to another mission, and he's like, all right, later. And then everything went back into disarray because he was gone. And Katma's telling John, yo, Sinestro's power did nothing to change the people. All they did was act right because he was there with a really big stick. People gotta learn the difference between justice and peace and quiet, which is why I'm giving you the task of not using your power ring. Don't be like Sinestro was. This shit really hits home because Katma Tui is from Korugar, the same planet as Sinestro, the same planet he put under his iron will to bring order. She's the one that led the revolt against him and then became his successor as a Green Lantern. So now John's back home with that tail in his head, but then this woman gets intimidated by the veterans coming out of the VA center, a white woman, and they're black, and she calls the cops on him because the cops then show up and start harassing the veterans, the army veterans that served and lost limbs for this country. Funny how none of that shit matters when the skin you're in makes a white person uncomfortable. What's ironic is in this tale, John had a brother that died the exact same way when the police were called on him, and he was back home from a war for not even 24 hours, just went to a party, police were called, and then he was killed there. As John sees this happening and gets involved, he thinks to himself, yo, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme a lot. John is trying to de-escalate, then the police are about to attack him, so Huckleberry Hound steps in, and then the police pull a gun out on Huckleberry Hound! That policeman pulled the tool, so John took out the toolbox. He got his ring slinging and made all the officers elevate in the air and stopped them cold. One officer tells John, mister, please, I got a family. John's like, oh, now it's mister. Now I'm certain. Do you think we don't have families either? And it's when John is looking at cop in the eye, he sees, yo, the power you have over people is a hoax. It's temporary. It's an illusion. The only power that really matters is the power you have with people. John believes that's what Katma was trying to teach him and that he just failed that test. John gets his people set, and before he leaves, he tells the cops, yo, don't make me come back here. Ever. When Katma comes to visit John, she's looking around his apartment like, okay, all right, you doing all right for yourself? Is that a Papasan chair? I love these things. John solemnly tells her, yeah, I know, I failed. And she's like, you did? He tells her, yeah, I broke the rules of the test, and I'd do it again. I don't see the point of being entrusted with this power if you can't use it. And one thing you'll come to find out about Katma Tui is she has so much personality, because she hears John, she's like, oh, was that the test? John's like, that wasn't the test. She's like, nah, it wasn't. Also, how do you stop this chair from spinning? I can't stop. Katma then tells John, yo, you're a Green Lantern. Of course you're supposed to use your power. The test wasn't to see if you could follow the rules. It was to see if you knew when to disobey the rules. Katma tells John, being a Green Lantern, that's the big leagues. This is big business. And if you're going to make it, it's not because I was always around to tell you what to do. Knowing when to disobey orders is the most important skill of a Green Lantern. Probably the most important skill of being a human being, which is ironic because she's an alien telling him that. And she tells John to keep keep the ring, because he earned that shit like a motherfucker. I love the special, and even though it flips with the family canon of John Stewart, I think it's an essential story for both Green Lantern John Stewart and Katma Tui. And I especially love the tale because we keep referring to Green Lanterns as police and law enforcement, even though they do a bunch of other things, but it's mostly what they're known for. However, Katma's showing here, yo, sometimes it isn't always the letter of the law. Sometimes you gotta disobey orders, especially when it comes to helping people.